stream. Doing a stream. A live stream. On Patreon. Alright. Alright. Let me make sure this is going. God, YouTube changes everything constantly. It's so annoying. Let's see. Make sure it's doing the thing. Yep. Seems to be doing the thing. Alright. So, it's time for yet another Patreon live stream. Alright. So, if you've never seen one of these streams before, a lot of people watch them afterwards. So I tend to just like ramble for an hour. Hey, what's up? Pleiad, I can't say your name. Hey, dog. Get off me. What are you doing? Get down. It's not the appropriate time to jump. What you doing, dog? You cannot fit up here. You're way fatter than you think you are. This dog thinks that he's like a puppy. He's not a puppy. Not anymore. He used to be able to get into this chair when he was much smaller, but those days are long gone. Yeah, what was I? Yeah, basically Patreon live streams. I just come on here and talk to you guys for a bit and chat for about an hour. And that's what we do, and it's a lot of fun. Hey, Camille. A few people are coming in. Puppy, no. This is okay, you gotta get down. Gotta get down. So yeah, what's going on with everybody? Yeah, I don't know if like you guys have noticed, but actually today is my day off, but I've been working really hard. You want to go outside? You want me to take you outside the room? Because I will. I've been working really hard to put out a lot of high quality content, just as much as possible. Okay, it's time to go. It's time to go to the other room, buddy. It's time to go to the other room. Go. He doesn't understand. Puppy doesn't understand personal space. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, so I'm doing things a new way now. So basically, I guess several weeks ago, I started coming on camera, and I've developed the technique, the way that I do it more and more and more. So now basically I'm able to be on camera, put out videos, and do it much quicker because I'm only coming on camera and filming like a certain section, and then the rest of it is done in a similar way to the way I always used to edit my videos. But I'm bringing in some newer styles and techniques to keep it all fresh, and I'm using different kinds of music now. And I think it's really working. I'm really excited about it. I feel like I'm getting a lot of engagement from all of you guys out there. It's really cool. A lot of engagement. I think when just the fact that I'm coming on to camera and that I'm being seen really, for a lot of people, it's like they're able to connect more with me as a human being, and they see an actual person on screen rather than just a voice. All right, and I think that is something that's kind of powerful. I don't know. I don't remember if I explained exactly the reason why I even decided to come on camera last time. I think I said something about it. But basically, it was based on a few reasons, really. Mainly was because at Con of Thrones, I had a chat with YouTuber AltShiftX. We had like a long chat. We talked for a few hours, actually. And he basically, AltShiftX said to me, because we were discussing like anonymity on the internet and all that stuff. And he was telling me why he chooses to not be on camera, not to show himself, and to be anonymous. And then I was thinking, well, it's kind of like me. I'm kind of like halfway in, halfway out. I'm like kind of anonymous because people don't really know what I look like on YouTube a lot of the times. But then also like I'm not like hiding. I'm like, you can see my face. I don't care. So I decided like, instead of having one foot in the door, one foot out the door, why not just dive into one side and just be like, yeah, now I'm here. Because either way, there's no point in playing like the tiptoe game. Pick one or the other is what I'm basically saying. And then also, I recognized something, which was that the whole like A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones YouTube thing is very saturated, and I saw that a minute ago. Honestly, it only got more and more saturated, and it got the peak at season 8. It peaked at season 8. Everyone's watching it. Everyone's watching these videos. Like a bunch of people are making videos, and then after season 8, there was a crash, and there's been a pretty significant crash, and a lot of these A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones people, pretty much everyone's seen a decline. But a lot of them are really struggling. A lot of the ones, I don't want to like down anybody, but there are certain people that I feel like have more to offer than others, that have more interesting things to say, new things, and there's other people that just like regurgitated like the same type of stuff and just said what everybody else was saying. Those channels in particular are not doing well. And I recognized that this was going to happen a long time ago. That's why I started diversifying my content very early on. I was like, yeah, I don't want to just do A Song of Ice and Fire. I want to do Dune, and I want to do Foundation. I want to do other series. I tried several different things, but Dune really stuck. And now Hyperion is really sticking, which I'm really excited about. And the fact that people are willing to watch the Hyperion content makes me feel more confident in putting out other videos, because now I've got more foundation stuff coming out. I just finished Ringworld Engineers. Larry Neven. Do I have that one in here? No, I think I put it back in my library. But basically, yeah, I should be covering that pretty soon. A bunch of people recommended Ringworld. I think I'm gonna structure that one as more as a review. I think I'll review the first book first, because I have a lot to say about the characters, particularly Tila Brown, who I know this book is written in 1970, right? Ringworld, Larry Neven. But Tila Brown is just one of the worst female characters that I've ever seen in anything. Oh my god, like Ringworld. Like, I mean, I really enjoyed that first book. And I need to think about the second one before I even talk about it. But I really enjoyed the first book. If you know about Ringworld, basically it's in the future. They're headed towards a star that has like a ring around it, and they're like, what civilization built it? What's happened to the civilization? So they gather up a group and they go, basically. But particularly there's the character Tila Brown. Like, everyone else in the group has a role and like has skills. They need to be there. And then Tila Brown, literally the character's skill is that she's lucky. And it's like, I just hate this like naive like girl sidekick character type thing. I just don't. It just seemed like just like backwards to me. But again, 1970. But then also in that same book, Ringworld, like Tila goes away, and then in comes another like seemingly totally shallow female character in Prill. But maybe Prill will turn out. Maybe Prill has some other things going on. We'll see as that continues. But yeah, it's just like I don't really dig the female characters necessarily. It's just like weird. And then like there's that part in Ringworld where it's like where Tila encounters like the what's his name, Seeker, that guy, right? And rather than like explaining to him that I'm not property and I don't belong to Louis, their whole idea to get like this guy Seeker to realize that it's okay that he be with Tila is to have Louis sell Tila to him, because in his culture he's like, women are property. So it's like, really, why don't you, if you're really gonna go with this guy, with him thinking in his mind that you are his property? What? That was just like really weird. Like, why? You'd be better off explaining to him that I'm not property and I'm going with you because I want to. Because if he thinks that you're, I just don't get. That was really weird to me. But yeah, Ringworld, more stuff on that coming. J Lord says Q&A. Can you read and review my fantasy ebook short story On the Island of the Grotesque? Have you sent it to me? I can definitely take a look at it. As far as like reviewing it, if I had time, I would have no problem with it. But like, I mean, did you send it to me? I think you might have sent it to me at some time. You probably have to send it to me again because it's probably buried somewhere. But yeah, I'm totally willing to take a look at it. It's just like, I've had so much going on recently, and now I'm finally done with my degree, so now I'm pouring more work into the YouTube channel. So as before, it was like Okay, it's like 60% like college work, and then like 40% YouTube work. Now I'm trying to work 6 days out of the week on YouTube, and then I get one day Wednesday off, but I'm streaming, so it's not really off. And I still actually got up this morning and worked on a script, and it's actually, this is the video for tomorrow that I'm doing, and it's called 5 Reasons to Read. I haven't figured out what the title exactly is going to be, but like 5 reasons to read Dune. Since that other top 5 video that I did, the misconceptions about Dune video, did so well, I thought 5 reasons to read Dune would be like a good follow up video to that. So yeah, J Lord, send me that again. Email. If I can get to it, I can get to it, and I promise you, I'll really try. You've been a patron of mine for a really long time, and I know you've been asking me to like check out that story for a while. But I'm trying to figure out a way for you to send it to me so that I can actually definitely notice it. If you know the ideas it's ideasoficefire@gmail.com, J Lord. So like take that email and title it J Lord Fantasy Story Patreon, and make sure you say Patreon so that I remember when I see it, so that I can archive it and save it so that I don't lose it again. Thoughts on Warhammer 40k and or fantasy? I don't know much about Warhammer 400k. God damn it. I can't talk. I don't know much about Warhammer 40,000. Except that it borrowed from a bunch of different places. I know that when I did my Dune timeline video, I got about 1,000 comments of people saying, oh, this is where Warhammer got this from, or this is where Warhammer got that from. But I haven't gotten to reading any of the books. I know that it was originally like a tabletop game, like something like, I don't know exactly what it would be like, but it was some kind of tabletop game. And I think it might be an RPG too, right, somewhere. And I know there's books as well, but I don't know really much about the lore. Jack Nizer says, "What happened to Obsidian Knights?" Well, Obsidian Knights is kind of on hold for a while, indefinitely actually. Um, and this has to do with a few things. I've gone in a slightly different direction in my channel, as some of you have noticed, and I've got to figure out a new way to figure out how to work podcast material into that, because I'm moving away from the behind the microphone and no face and into this is a show that you can come and watch, and you come here and hang out with me, and I'm your host. So I want to move from being a disembodied voice to being a host. So, but yeah, I mean, there'll be a place for it. We have an episode that's already recorded that just needs to I've got to edit it and figure out exactly how I want to introduce this and what I'm going to do with it, and then we can see where it goes from there. But then, like I also said, was that type of material, because of the saturation in the market and because of the build and build and build and build and build, 2 years of waiting for Game of Thrones season 8, and then all these people making videos, and then the crash, a lot of people are burnt out on A Song of Ice and Fire. So that's another reason why I've kind of just pulled back in general on a song. I mean, I love that series forever, and I'll continue to put out the Song of Ice and Fire theory videos and to discuss it always, always, always. But I want to be able to present that stuff in an interesting way that's unique and different. So that's why when I reformat it, it's not just I'm on camera now. It's like I'm approaching it from a totally different angle. Like if you saw the A Song of Ice and Fire time video, that video is about time, and I'm discussing it in a way that no one else on YouTube, that I've never seen anyone discuss it like that. The same with the Breaking Illusions video, and I haven't seen people discussing it like that. The same with the Evil video. It's a whole like video essay on morality. So it's like I haven't seen people do that, and I want to do stuff that stands out rather than doing what everyone else does. It's like, who wrote the Pink Letter for the 800th time, and like a fucking goddamn, like who are John's parents, and like who cares? I wanna be philosophical with this and talk about what this means for not just what it means in the narrative, but what this means as just like a piece of art. You know what I mean? And what this says to the human spirit. Or, like, yeah, that's the type of stuff that I want to cover on my channel. And I mean, Obsidian Nights is great for what it is, but it's like we're really just sitting around like talking about what happened in the books that people have mostly already read. And it's like, and it's like, if it can't be lucrative, then like I can't continue to do it. But like for sure, you'll get a few more episodes of Obsidian Nights, 100%, at least a few more. Have you read the Dark Tower series? Would love more King content. Of course, I've read Dark Tower. Stephen King's magnum opus. I think it's been a minute. 8 books, right? 8 books. Yeah, Dark Tower is one of those crazy, weird ass genre hopping series. Stephen King loves it. It's got some. It's a weird. I don't want to bash it. It's really good, but it's like Stephen King. It's just some books you'll enjoy more than others because of the genre hopping, and some sections of it are just like, I'll move on. And some stuff. It's a crazy, weird story, and like if you're into that, it's good. And honestly, mentioning that, I do have. I do love Stephen King, right? And actually, if you check Patreon, I think some videos were posted either earlier this year or last year where I'm talking about some Stephen King stuff. I'm talking about It, I believe. But I've never like directly just talked about Dark Tower. See, that's the thing with my channel too. Is that before I get on video and decide to give my 2 cents about something, I want to like almost have read everything. This is why I have people are like, oh, let me find an example. I didn't want to talk about Dune on my channel until I read all those books and really understood them, right? And that's how I feel about everything, right? So if I was to do Dark Tower, I would need to go back and reread them and make sure I understand everything because that's just the way I am. I don't want to be getting on YouTube and then just saying a bunch of shallow shit that's like only half true and pretending like I fucking know everything about the series when I don't. Like some people, like, I feel like the more I've been on YouTube, the more bitter I've gotten. I don't even know if bitter is the right word. There's a little bit of bitterness, and then there's just a little bit of just like numbness to it at the same time. I feel like there are a lot of people that just like jump on bandwagons. They might have not even read it, and they just like, oh, here's my video. Here's my breakdown video of this book. Let me give you all these shallow facts and details and not offer anything of interest. And I personally hate that kind of stuff because like when you encounter that type of material on the internet, it's kind of easy to tell if like you're really a fan of the series. So I would never want to do that, and I would never want to come across like that. So it's like if I'm going to talk about Dark Tower, I got to make sure I know my shit before I say anything about it. No, speaking of that, if you don't know what totally negating all that. Dark Tower is so interesting, and Stephen King is so interesting because Dark Tower is really the series that goes in and kind of ties everything together. Like he always had it set up that he had this connected universe. You would hear about certain things in some books, and in others, like for instance, in The Stand, some characters have The Shining. Like there's an old woman that has The Shining. And The Shining, the book The Shining, it's like a telepathic connection. Certain things are mentioned in It that show up in other books, like several characters from It show. I mean, the town Derry shows up in other books, so it's like that's Dark Tower is kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, Dark Tower. It's a great series because it connects his universe, and Dark Tower. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you get what I mean. Anyway, I was looking at because you said I ignored your question. I can't see that. Dark Fire Eyes says question for then on Dune. Do you share my thoughts on the sisterhood that they are basically an enlightenment made manifest? That's an interesting way to put it. I think. To an extent, I feel like at some point in history, the sisterhood grew too arrogant, right? And that was the point where they tripped up and got the Kwisatz Haderach too soon. But then the thing about the sisterhood is that they're very pragmatic. So that after they saw that, they reeled back and they were like, you know what? They keep. I don't. How am I trying to? I'm trying to figure out what am I exactly trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is they're very pragmatic, but they have the tendency to err on the side of arrogance. And even in those later books, like Odrade suddenly comes to the realization, like, oh yeah, the sisterhood could be destroyed. It's like I didn't consider that before. We could be destroyed. It's like, of course you could be destroyed. How could you not have, like, how could that not all had not always been a part of your awareness? Paul was not. Paul was. See, that's where I disagree, Darkfire Ice. Um, you might, depending on what you accept as canon, say Paul is not the ultimate Kwisatz Haderach, but Paul was certainly a Kwisatz Haderach. Just like Leto the Second was a Kwisatz Haderach. Um, Ultimately, I would say that we don't know who or what Frank Herbert intended the ultimate form of the Kwisatz Haderach to be. We don't know how far it could actually gotten. You could say that is Duncan Idaho from Brian Herbert's books, what he eventually becomes. Like, he's the ultimate Kwisatz Haderach, I guess. That's what some people believe. But I would say that Paul is a Kwisatz Haderach. He did not have past lives. What do you mean by that? Paul did have past lives. He did. Did he? Paul, he did, right? I'm pretty sure that Paul had other memory. Of course he did. He had the power to look back and forward. Why wouldn't he? That's what the truth sayer drug does. See the whole point of the Kwisatz Haderach or this guy. Let me start over. Do you remember in the book Dune when Paul says he was in fact not what the Kwisatz? Well, I don't know if that's true either. He was what they wanted technically, but they weren't able to control him. See, where they ultimately messed up was that they couldn't control him. If you remember the end of the book, she's basically the guy's Helm Ohayim comes to Jessica and she basically says, "Well, you've done it, Jessica. You produced the Kwisatz Haderach." And then she's trying to bend Paul, but then Paul's like, "No, yeah, I'm a Kwisatz Haderach, but I'm not gonna bend to your will." And throughout that whole like scene, she's trying to shut him up. She's like, "Be silent, be silent, be silent, shut up." And eventually he snaps and he goes, "Silence! I remember your Gom Jabbar. You remember mine. I can kill you with a word." And like he totally shuts her up, shuts her down. He's like, "Yeah, Jessica has produced a Kwisatz Haderach, but I'm not gonna bow before you. I will not let you manipulate me." Paul had prescience and he also had other memories. That's what I'm trying to explain. Paul certainly did have other memory. Paul was prescient and he had other memory. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So it's Paul most certainly had other memory. It wasn't to the, but because I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. Paul did have other memory. The reason that Leto and Ganima were also born with other memory was because they were born when Chani was addicted to the spice. She was on this crazy drug that Paul, what they wanted was the perfect leader. Paul was not. Leto was their horror. But that doesn't make him not a Kwisatz Haderach, though, is what I'm saying. He is a Kwisatz Haderach. A Kwisatz Haderach is someone that has the other memories and can look forward and back. He says to her, "Look into that place where you dare not look. You will find me staring back at you." What does Sky's Helen Ohayim say to Paul in the beginning of the book? She says, there's a place we cannot look. A place that is terrifying to us. A man will come one day that can look where we cannot. He will be the Kwisatz Haderach. Can Paul or can Paul not look into the place where they cannot? Yeah, but I get what you mean, that he was not exactly what they wanted, but to say he is not a Kwisatz Haderach is actually inaccurate, in my personal opinion. Now, there are examples of failed Kwisatz Haderachs, Finring, but, you know, but I digress. Yeah, what else is on the agenda? What else we got going on? So yeah, Dunage, Chapter House Dune's coming good. I'm planning on posting some of the sketches that my artists have been doing to Patreon, because like there's a lot of beautiful art that I've been getting worked on. I've got some beautiful art of Odrade. I'm getting Miles Tag done. I'm getting some new Duncan Idaho done because I feel like I used the same few I've been using the same few of Duncan Idaho for so long, and I wanted some new ones because like Duncan Idaho, like Chapter House, is really where that character just like kind of blossoms. Yeah. So I that's part of the reason that the Chapter House video has been taking too long too, was because to commission art is a bit of an expensive project process. It's not like horribly expensive, but it costs money to do it. But it's worth it because like then I get to put the art in my videos and say like this art's never been seen before. All new art from Chapter House Dune makes it feel more official to me. And this is the first time that I've ever had the opportunity to do that, so it's really great. And I can't wait to see how this video comes out. The script for it is complete pretty much. It's just the process of finishing editing it down, and then getting it into the software and putting everything together and getting the last bits of art finished. And yeah, and then we got Chapter House, and then probably I'll be moving on into the Brian Herbert stuff. Well, most definitely, but the way I've decided to do the Ultimate Guide to Expanded Dune is basically I'll start a new series. It'll be a new playlist. So essentially, it'll be Ultimate Guide to Expanded Dune, Part 1, Sandworms of Dune, Part 2, Hunters of Dune, basically. So that's the way it'll go. And then I'll probably move into like House Atreides, House Harkonnen, and all those like house books and all that stuff. I'll do all that too, and I'll do Paul of Dune. I'll do all that, but they'll get their own playlist. So for all the people that really hate Brian Herbert and the Kevin J. Anderson stuff, you're lucky because that stuff will be separated. Dark Fire says, I love Leto though, the ultimate sacrifice for someone like him. Leto is such a fascinating character. He's one of the most fascinating characters in science fiction like ever. Like he's so cool. The concept of someone that can see that far ahead into the future is just insane. And if you even take a moment to even perceive that, it's terrifying to know the outcome of every action that you take, the ultimate outcome. Like let's say that I knew that if I went down the street and drove to the supermarket, that because of that, I don't know, like butterfly effect, someone would miss a turn at the wrong time, and then it would cause a pile up and killed like fucking like I don't know 12 people or something. But it wouldn't have been my fault. I would have caused it like crazy indirectly. But like if I knew that before I left the house, could I be, is it moral to still go out there even though I know it's not going to be my fault that they missed a turn and have all those people die? So that's the dilemma. Paul knows that like all these little actions that I do, and I mean well, Paul doesn't know it to the extent that Leto does. Leto feels it harder, but everything that I do is going to lead to this. It's crazy. But what Leto I guess eventually ended up doing was like pushing. He solidified the path. He constricted it, right? He kind of, I don't know, what's the word? He diluted all the possibilities. He made stuff so tight. He made it so tight that it could only go one way, and it went, and it was like he made that sacrifice, and he was like, he said, I'll accept the pain. I'll accept all of this. I'll accept never knowing touch or love. I'll accept all of this in order to save everyone. And it's just such a it's tragic and it's so powerful and it's such a sacrifice. Yeah, and I agree. He did love humanity. J Lord says Q&A. Will you do a video on the Duke Leto? I have a video on the Duke Leto actually, and you can find that on my channel. Just type in YouTube Ideas of Ice and Fire Duke Leto. I have a whole video on him and his history. I go into his history as told in the Dune Encyclopedia and his history as told in the Brian Herbert work. So that is actually on my channel now. What was with the whole Danny Stannis rivalry? I love them both. Yeah, I remember this back in the day. It's not a thing anymore. People grew out of it, I think. Basically, a lot of people had this idea that that it would either be Stannis or Daenerys that was Azor Ahai. That was an idea that was floating around. It was like, oh, Stannis is the rightful one. I never thought that ever. I never understood how anyone could see that. But yeah, that's where that came from. And then you had like the Stannis guys that were like, yeah, Stannis. And they had everyone else that was like, no, Daenerys. And that's basically what it was. It was just people, fandom fights, typically. But I never got the, I never, not only did I never get the Stannis love, I never understood why anyone ever thought that he could ever potentially be I was going to say the quiz is how to write, that he could ever potentially be Azor Ahai. I don't understand. Like it's clearly not Stannis, and it's like everything in this book is like pointing to the fact that Stannis is a red herring. But yeah, that's so funny, right? Dark Fire Ice. Yeah, yeah. I only read half of your comment last time. Yeah, he loved his humanity, and yet to preserve humanity itself, he had to get rid of his and be a monster for the remainder of time, and yet can never die. Yeah. That is, and then on top of that, to be hated for the rest of human history, and to be called a tyrant, and they'll never know. Most people will never know. Yeah, most will never know what he did for them, and they'll just know him as the tyrant. Only one day in the future, the most enlightened will know. His journals do eventually be found, but it's like, how many people are actually going to ever see that? Q&A. Do you watch Preston Jacobs videos? Back in the day when I was just starting my channel, I saw some Preston Jacobs videos. I don't really watch anybody's videos on A Song of Ice and Fire anymore at this point, because it's like I have my own thing, and it's like I don't have time to go around watching other people's videos. To be honest, I don't mean to sound like I'm hating on anybody else. Do your thing, but just I don't have the time to go around watching other people's videos most of the time. Most of the time. Yeah, there's a lot of good content creators still, for sure. I mean, I like um, Indie Geek Robert puts out some good videos. I really like the YouTube channel Daniel Green. He's not a Song of Ice and Fire exclusively. He covers like all of fantasy. Um, LML is still my guy. I know there was some controversy, like people like the whole fucking A Song of Ice and Fire community turned on him, and just shunned him based on somebody else's word. And and it's not like I'm saying like don't believe somebody when they say something, but I personally think, and this is the way I was raised, is that when you're fucking friends with someone, you don't just fucking cut all ties with them immediately based on like something that someone else said. I mean, you can say to them like you were wrong for this, but it's not. You don't have to be like, because like the whole thing with LML went down, and people were like, "Oh, you should block him. You need to unfollow him, and you need to stop streaming with him." And then like all these A Song of Ice and Fire people unfollowed me basically on Twitter. Like not most of them, but just like a few people. So I was just like, whatever, it's fine. Um, but I will say this, like a lot of those people that unfollowed me are also, I feel like, just already hated me. For whatever reason. That's the thing. I feel like some people, gosh, should I say this? Because this is commentary on some of the people that I know unfollowed me because of this. I feel like I need to quantify this. I am a liberal. I am on the left. Bernie Sanders 2020, whatever. But I feel like when it comes to certain liberals, right? Especially like, not to offend anyone, but like a lot of the really like privileged like younger like white liberals, it's all about like virtue signaling. And I hate that shit. Can't fucking stand it. Because it comes to the point where it's like I'm going to virtue signal so hard that it's like ultimately I'm going to act like I care so much that ultimately but when I really don't. And I feel like if you want to go around and play this game like I'm the virtue signaling hardcore liberal in my bubble whatever, but then you're totally like super quick and super willing to unfollow and to just totally cut off one of the only prominent A Song of Ice and Fire black people in the community because you want to protect the feelings of like a white woman who are literally one of the most privileged groups not only in America but in the world. That seems fucking fishy to me. Hmm. That's all I gotta say. But that's about some specific people. That's about specific people. I'm not making generalizations about anybody. Are you liberal or liberal? Yes, they are different. I guess I don't exactly know what you mean. I support liberal. I am in line with like a lot of like Bernie Sanders like democratic socialist policies. I like some of the stuff Andrew Yang says too. Yeah, I do. Andrew Yang's interesting. I don't like Joe Biden. Definitely do not like Kamala Harris. Like Kamala Harris is such a fraud. Um, um, Warren is. I don't know about Elizabeth Warren. I feel like I Elizabeth Warren. I feel like she comes across as very politician to me. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're saying all this, but like, where's the evidence that you're actually gonna follow through with all this? Whereas with Bernie Sanders, it's like this dude, like he doesn't get this dude is about that shit. Like this dude is he believes the shit that he says, and you know it. So that's why I'm more Bernie than Warren. If it's capital, then it's philosophical. If it's lowercase, then it's political. I guess technically like both. I guess essentially. But then like liberal, I mean, all these words have become so loaded, and I feel like people attach such like connotations to them that it's like even saying that it's like I'm like afraid to say it because I'm afraid that people are gonna like scream at me like. But I feel like both sides can be criticized at any point in time. I feel like that's one thing. No matter what side you're on, what I can't fucking stand is partisan hackery. If you can criticize one but not the other, are you kidding me? You gotta criticize both. I mean, don't sit here and tell me and act like Nancy Pelosi because she's a Democrat is some kind of fucking progressive when she's not. When she's Nancy Pelosi is the Democratic Speaker of the House, and she's literally a goddamn Republican if you look at her policies. If you look at the type of shit she supports. I mean that's I mean when it comes to looking at politicians in the records, you got to look at the history in the record. Elizabeth Warren voted for goddamn Trump's military budget. She was a Republican until 1996. Nancy Pelosi is totally inept. I mean, come on now. Come on. Like I hate the fakeness of politics, but I feel like nuance is the key with everything, right? Nuance is the key. Everyone can be criticized. And that's just the way I feel about it. I don't know. Let's move on from the subject of politics a little bit. Dune. I actually said this on Steven Stark's stream that like reading Dune and getting into Dune like kind of like reignited my interest in politics. I was about to say woke, but that is not the word I want to use. I was always paying attention. I was always paying attention. I think it was Trump too, and all the media circus and all this. It's a big circus now. So all this stuff, like I've been paying attention a lot more, and it's just like so many things wrong. Bernie Sanders calls himself a socialist, but he's not really. He's a social democrat. I know because I live in one of the countries he praises where social democracy. We're not socialists. I know for a fact that you are correct. And if I had to describe my political alignment, I would say social democrat too. But also, I feel like you're not too late, Augustus 87. We're just talking about dangerous political stuff, and I might be offending people, but who knows? I'm aligned with him, but I feel like I'm actually further to the left than Bernie Sanders. I'm further to the left than Bernie Sanders because I am for not only the legalization of marijuana, I'm for the decriminalization or legalization of all drugs. Bernie Sanders is in favor of this too, but I'm for the dismantling of the fucking private prison industry, which like just destroys Americans. But yeah, just you could probably guess what I'm in favor of and what I'm not. Dark Fire Eye says, Kabian to sum up to extremely simple conservative. To sum it up extremely simply conservative. You don't know what's good for you, liberal. You are the only one capable of knowing what's good for you. I like that. The USA is pretty socialist, Darkfire Eye says. We have some. That's one thing that people in the United States don't even understand. People living here is that we have socialism going on all the time. We've got schools, we've got firefighters, we've got police, and they're totally fucking corrupt. But that doesn't the fact that the police are corrupt has nothing to do with socialism, and the fact that there's no system of fucking checks and balances. Like, what the fuck is an internal affairs investigation? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. But yeah, yeah, we got plenty of socialist stuff going on already, but it's like people ignore that and they act like Bernie Sanders is the most dangerous politician in the world or something. But we're not socialist enough, I would say. Okay. Okay, you say Warren is safe for the establishment. That's why the media is trying to focus on her and give Bernie the obtuse coverage, if at all. Dude, you know that's so true. That is some of the truest stuff I ever heard. Because like every time that she'll move up slightly in a poll and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Elizabeth Warren." But yeah, like I said, let's move on from the political stuff because like it can get tiresome. It can get tiresome. Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, back to what's going on with the channel. What is going on with the channel? What am I working on? I'm gonna pull up some of my little scripts to show you guys a few of the videos. Well, I'm gonna tell you about a few of the videos that I'm working on. I see. Pull up my Google Docs here. So I put out the mysticism and science fiction one recently. I've got the Ring World videos that are coming out, which are super. It's gonna take some time to get those out, but like they'll be coming out. Oh yeah, this is one. I've got one that I'm working on where I'm trying to like comb through all the books and get all the details that I possibly can about it. But I'm working on a Dune one, the Sardaukar versus the Genus Swords Masters, and really just quantifying and figuring out what distinguishes the two because there are some seeming discrepancies where sometimes the Sardaukar are referred to as like the greatest soldiers, and then it's the genus. So but what I think is happening is that the Sardaukar, the Emperor's Imperial soldiers, are actually the greatest army. They're the greatest military force, basically. But then you have the Genus school, and their swords masters are actually the greatest individual fighters. So I think that's what is being got at here. So that one's exciting, and I'm super excited to put that one out because people really enjoyed my weapons and warfare Dune video. So that one was really neat. I think I got a spot on my shirt. I can see right here. I don't know where that came from. Probably from the dog. He was jumping on me earlier. But yeah, that's happening. I had something else too. I think I mentioned 5 reasons to read Dune. And I'm going to try and make the 5 reasons to read Dune video spoiler free completely. Because there's no point in doing like 5 reasons to read Dune and then spoiling it because then you don't have a reason to read it. So it's like yeah. So that's coming out. Oh yeah. So also a Song of Ice and Fire religion. So I mentioned how like I'm taking like these specific topics, focusing in on them and honing in on them and like really going in depth, just like I did with time. The religion one is gonna be heavy. So I'm playing off some things that I did in my morality Euron one, but the religion one is gonna be, oh my god. I hope I don't piss anybody off. So it's like also I want to say in the morality one, a lot of people took issue with the way I characterized the Red God because I did say that he was omnipotent, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, where is that said? But basically, what I was getting at is that Melisandre's whole belief system is kind of what's the word? Contradictory, because she's at the same time saying stuff like, "If the Lord of Light wills it, it shall be," and then there's also a darkness that we have to fight against. But I thought the Lord of Light's will was what happened. So it's like there's kind of a little bit. So it seems like she believes that he's all powerful, and it's almost like she believes like he's all powerful, and we're just kind of like playing his game because that's what he wants. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, the religion video will cover all of that and more. And it's almost too close to home because like clearly the faith of the seven are the Catholics, and there's a lot going on. I'm excited about this one. So that's the biggest Song of Ice and Fire one that I've got coming in the next couple of weeks, few weeks. Um, yeah, it'll probably be just as long as the Euro one, honestly, because this one's Whereas I'm not like directly talking about like because the Euron one was kind of like, oh, I'm explaining where I think Euron's story is going, while also explaining evil and morality. But here it's like religion in general and religion everywhere. And it's not even like I'm just going through and saying, oh, this is the religion here and this is the religion there. I'm saying this is the religion here. These are its tenets. This is how it relates to like everything here. And this is these are concepts in the real world that it's based off of. And I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm just really excited about it. Really excited about all of this. Oh, yep. Top 10 science fiction books. That's a script that I'm working on that I see right here. So that one's coming out. I have a few on the list. So yeah, that one is pretty self-explanatory. Should I tell you guys about this? I talked about this a little bit already. As some of you might know, I am currently working on a comic book, which is not titled yet. And I talked about this on a stream a while back. And yeah, I'm actually working with actually an artist that has worked with George R. R. Martin on his comics. So yeah, that's exciting, right? And basically, my comic takes place in like a fictionalized version of Europe. Main character Tadia, she was created by witches in order to take down a king that failed to live through on his promise. And if you want to know more about Tadia, go check out the live stream that I did with Mike Miller on my channel a little bit from a while ago because I talked about it then. And it was the last channel. It was the last stream that I did on Game of Thrones on my channel. So I talk about it in detail there. But I've got it's really coming together nicely. I've developed the Order of the Ashmakers, which are basically witch hunters, and I've developed the guy that heads them, the lead character there. I've developed the king, who's a really nasty piece of work, and his family, who the witches intend to kill because he didn't live through. So basically, these witches, this coven of witches, basically they grant you something, but then when they call for you, you have to follow through on the promise. And the king's family is royal because lo and behold, they made a promise to the witches way back in the day. And the witches come and they say, you gotta pay up. We're being hunted. We're being hunted. We're being killed. We need help. We need protection, king. Live up to it. Live up to the promise that your family set up years ago. We made you king. We gave you this power. So basically, he's like, I'm not witches, please. I'm not gonna bow for get out of here. So it's like, and the reason that they don't, you wonder, like, typically my witches would, if someone doesn't follow through on the promise, they're just gonna curse you, ruin you, destroy your life. But the king, they've got to do it differently. They're not just gonna simply kill him, and they can't simply kill him because he's a king. And it's kind of me using some ideas that are in George R. R. Martin's series. Like there is power in a king's blood. These witches can't simply destroy a king. They need to go on this whole thing. So they create Tadia, the perfect witch, the perfect one to take down the king. And the story is really about Tadia's self-discovery and really about her taking control of her own destiny and standing up and doing and being like, these witches hope to bend me to their will. My creators hope to bend me to their will and like make me do what they say. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna stand up for myself and do. That's ultimately where it will go. But yeah, those are just. I'm very excited about it. But it won't get exactly to that point in the first volume. The first volume will probably end with Tadia accepting what the witches want. So I'm thinking that's how I'm gonna structure it. You'll have the first. It'll be 3 volumes. First volume. Tadia discovering what she is, and then finally accepting it, agreeing to do what the witches want. The middle book, the middle conflict, and then the end, Tadia finally taking control of her life, and then the shit. I don't want to spoil it. That's why I have it worked out. I know where I want it to go pretty much, but I don't want to spoil like the most juicy parts of it because I just feel like this comic, if I put passion into it, I feel like it can connect with people. And I love witches personally. They're witches and just like pagan shit. It's just like a passion of mine, and I'm super into it. Like I have my own book of shadows that I bound from hand from scratch myself, and I drew all these spells in it. I drew all this artwork in it, and I have that in there because I just love that, and I've always wanted to do a story like this, and I just feel like it's gonna be fun. Oh, okay. Okay, let me see. Some questions came in. Q&A. Impera or the Stormcloaks? I'm not sure. The Stormcloaks are from Star Wars, right? Is that a Star Wars thing? Stormcloaks? I don't know Star Wars like that. You should know that I do not know Star Wars. Like I do not know. I don't really get into Star Wars. I'm sorry. How much hate do you get from a religion related video is almost a metric of how successful you were writing it. There's been times in the past where I've just like mentioned religion and people have freaked out. Like even in that Hyperion video where I talk about how Dan Simmons like ties like Jesus or whatever into the story, it's like yeah. Oh, Stormcloaks from Skyrim. How did I forget about the? Because yeah, in the opening of Skyrim, it's like the Stormcloaks and the Empire. Oh, okay. See, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. I see. I see. You just type. It was a typo. I see what you mean. You said the Empire or the Stormcloaks. Well, in that case, Stormcloaks. I thought you were. I thought that said like Impure or something, and I was like, "What's Impure?" And then I think I was thinking. Oh, I was thinking of Stormtrooper. Star Wars is Stormtrooper. Okay, yeah, okay, but Stormcloak, Stormcloak usually. I don't like the Empire. Fuck the establishment. uh, you know me as Glenn H. Thank you very much for including my name in the patrons. May I recommend Make a Scene by Jordan Rosenfield for plotting, pacing, and characterization for the comic? I'll definitely check that out. And I do have your book right in there. 1 second. So this is the book. Now this book follows Patricia Heron. That's the character. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to reading all of it. I have, I have opened it at least. But yeah, like I said, I do still have it, and I will read it. I promise. I will finish it, and we can talk about it. But I just want you to know that I do have it, and I will finish it, and we'll be able to talk about it. This is a pretty thick book. Pretty thick book. But I remember you gave this to me earlier this year at Jordan Con, and it was great to meet you. It's great seeing you there. I want you to know I still have your book. I have not forgotten about it. Just got a lot on my plate. But yeah. You interested in Wheel of Time Amazon series? Of course. Of course, I'm interested to see what they're going to do. I've seen some of the casting. Like I said, Daniel Green. I love that YouTube channel. Um, Glad to see you, a fellow heathen. Lamia smiles upon you. But yeah, I'm super into. I'm down with Wheel of Time. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I'm also super intrigued by the Lord of the Rings show. Like Amazon, they've got all this money. Give us some good shit. But like at the same time, I feel like a lot of everyone's like grabbing and clawing to be the next Game of Thrones. And you got His Dark Materials, Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, Witcher. Like, oh my god, I have not read the Witcher books yet. At this point, I mean, they might be good, but at this point, I don't know if I will. At this point, I don't know if I will. I mean, you know what you heard what I said earlier about like how I feel like people just jump on stuff that they haven't read, make a million videos about it, so they can jump on a bandwagon. And I've seen so many like Game of Thrones people do that, and it's just like so obvious to me. Like you people have not read. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm just being like maybe I'm just hating. Maybe I'm just hating because I don't know. I have a suspicion that all these videos are coming out are just people trying to be like people that aren't even passionate about it, that are just like, I just want to get views because this might be the next Game of Thrones. I'm gonna get views. This might be the next, and I'm like, just fuck off. Do what you love. Do something that you're passionate about. That'll make me, honestly, when I see people do shit like that, it makes me not like them as a person. Because I'm just like, do something that you're fucking passionate about. I can't stand that type of let me jump on the bandwagon type mentality. And I hate bandwagons in general. That's why, like, I feel like I started the bandwagon of being like, Game of Thrones sucks now. And then now that it's a bandwagon, I jumped off of it and I don't make videos about it anymore. Because I'm just like, oh, now everyone else is jumping on. I'm gonna get on my own bandwagon. And now you got now you got people. Yeah, I'm fine. You can jump on the Dune bandwagon. Everyone get on the Dune bandwagon. That's what I feel. That's where society needs to go. More people should get on the Dune bandwagon. But like I typically I just hate that shit. And it's just like, God, the fakery, the fakery. But ultimately, when I'm being like for real, not to toot my own horn, but me, I am one of the only A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones YouTube channels that's not losing subscribers daily. I did a little bit of digging. I don't usually do this, but like I was wondering like, oh, how's everyone else's channel doing? I was just looking at people going to Social Blade like a couple weeks ago. Pretty much everyone that I looked at, negative every single day. And I look at mine and I'm still going up. And I can only attribute that to like me not putting all of my eggs in the Song of Ice and Fire basket. And me just being like, I don't want to just do Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire because those aren't the only two things that I loved. And I feel like if you love something, what am I trying to say? Those aren't. I mean, if you love something, then you want to talk about it and you want to express like how much you love it, right? I don't know. Cause it's like when I did the Dune stuff, right? No one cared about Dune. At least it didn't seem like it, right? There weren't many videos on it. There weren't a lot of people just talking about it. And then I look at this now. When I put out that video, it got like 3,000 views in like a week. It took an entire week, and that was just like so poor for me at the time, even where it was just like that's like an ultimate failure. But I knew in my soul, inside of my soul, that that was the best video that ever went on my channel because I tried my freaking hardest. And now that is the biggest Dune video on the internet. And I have the biggest Dune series on the entire internet. And if you Google Dune, my channel comes up. And if you type in Dune on YouTube, my channel comes up. That's amazing. And I think, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like if I'm not going to do it, who else is going to do it? I got to point out this stuff for myself. I feel like that came out of me being passionate and putting out something that I really liked and that I cared about. And I feel like all these people that are doing The Witcher just because they think it's about to be popular, it comes across as so disingenuous. If you really loved someone, if you really loved something, you would do it whether or not it was popular or not. If you really love this or that book series, you would cover it because you like it and not because, oh, I think this is going to get views or because I think this is going to be the next Game of Thrones. Right? I don't know. This is what I think. Hey, but it's been about an hour, guys. It's been an hour. I don't want to come on here and just and be all mean. Yes, Darkfire Ice, the spice must flow. Oh, thank you so much, Glenn, for saying that. I gotta watch my tongue. See, that's why I love coming on Patreon and streaming so much because I feel like I can say shit like this without people getting mad. Like if I was saying this in a regular stream, I would get called a hater. People would be like, "Who are you talking about?" And this and that. And it's just like Patreon, come on here and vent to you guys. And you guys are super cool. This is why I like this. This is why I do this. Thank you so much. I can't say that name once again, but thank you so much for saying that. That's another thing. If you care about something and you work hard on it and you put it out, you should be happy even if barely anybody sees it. And most of the time, like sometimes I'll put out a video, I'll work really hard on it, and I'll be like, oh, maybe not many people will watch it, but like I know it's a good video. So it's like it doesn't matter because I know the people that do see that and the people that do click on it will recognize the fact that it's good, and then that's just that. Um, but yeah, I don't mean to be down on like other people that make content. I'm sure other people have passion and love things, but what I'm saying is that I see it a lot now that I a lot of things now that I hadn't seen before, where people would try to where people I see what people have been doing, right? And then I see the ways that people even in the Song of Ice and Fire community have been like using me and manipulating me, but then they're so quick to kind of like turn. But that's just people, right? That's just human beings, right? And it was all it's like, oh, I actually secretly hated you this whole time. But as soon as but I'm not gonna say anything. But as soon as I have a mild reason to, I'm just gonna quietly unfollow you and disown you. But that's what I'm saying. I whatever. But like ultimate. But the thing is, I feel like I think about it too much because like the people that did that are irrelevant. That's the thing; they're irrelevant. You know. Um, History of Westeros is still following me. You know, he's legend in the Song of Ice and Fire community. He is. So fuck you. Um, Robert and Nip Geek follows me. One of the bigger channels. Gray Area still follows me. All the important people. So it's like, who the fuck else? um, yeah, it's like I'm not threatened by. I refuse to be bent and manipulated by a mob of people that don't matter to me and don't even really care about my content or what I have to say. Why would I sacrifice myself and use my influence to support causes that you people want? When you don't even support me, Sansa fucking Snark on Twitter. Whoops, said your name. Sorry. Peace. Anyways, guys, getting out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed this little rant slash scream slash. I swear to God, I can't speak. I hope you guys enjoyed the. I mean, I guess it kind of was a scream. Ah! This rant slash stream thing. Oh, I got a new question. Jackson Davis says, I'm a medievalist who thinks we need more authenticity in fantasy and historical fiction. Even A Song of Ice and Fire is flawed in a lot of ways, so I will make it right. Um, I mean, but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I mean, if you want something that's totally authentic, you could just read just like historical. You could just. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Because I mean, if you're reading historical fiction, right, you would expect it to be at least more accurate. But I think there's more leeway when it comes to something like fantasy, like A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's like it's not even in the real. It's not even on Earth. So it's like, like you can't expect too much accuracy coming from like a series that's not even set on planet Earth. But like when it comes to like historical fiction, which I have not read a lot of, I mean Outlander is historical fiction. I think yeah, that's historical fiction. Don't know how accurate that is, but I can see what you mean. And yeah, that's the thing about the Middle Ages too, right? Is that there's so much going on. Like we think Middle Ages, and people just think of like Europe. But that's not just the Middle Ages. There's so much going on in that time. If people say Middle Ages, it's like, oh, that's the only place in the world where the Middle Ages happened. The Middle Ages happened everywhere, everywhere at the same time. There's a bunch of different cultures doing a bunch of different stuff. There's a lot going on. I know I keep saying I'm about to end it, and then I keep talking, but yeah, I get what you mean, Jackson Davis. I totally get what you mean. At the same time. Mm-hmm. Yep. But anyways, peace, dude. Now I gotta really go. No, I'm really going. I gotta go let my puppy outside. So it was great talking to you guys. Have fun. I was gonna say make sure you like and subscribe, but you guys probably already are if you're on Patreon.